me to record this. Okay. Okay, so now, ito yung Mount Ararat. Sabi natin, the original name is Arartu from Turkey. It's a Turkish name, Arartu, but Ararat in English. And then we also discover in some literatures, especially yung mga literature sa Middle East, na ang mga Mesopotamian at saka mga Babylonian, yung ancient time, even before the birth of Moses, meron na silang record about the flood, the story of the flood. Meron silang story na yon na kung tawagin natin the Epic of Gilgamesh. Okay, and if you will go to the history of China, you will discover na even the Chinese people, meron silang story about the universal flood. What does it mean to us, Bible scholars? It means yung Bible ay totoo. It means na yung universal flood na naganap ng panahon ni Noah ay totoo. Kasi iyan ay hindi lang natin nakita in the history of the Bible. It is also recorded in yung tinatawag nating outside the Bible. Ano ang basis natin dyan? Number 1 is the Epic of Gilgamesh. Number 2, the history of China. So meron silang record na ganyan. Na ang ibig sabihin nga natin ay merong universal flood na naganap. Hindi yun imbento lamang. Okay? Okay, paki-silent na lamang yung maingay dyan sa isa sa atin na hindi nagsa-silent. Okay. Okay, so during the time of Noah, this is what we call the new beginning. The new beginning of humanity because God destroyed all human beings, including the giants, including the children of the fallen angels, and humanity. Okay, they were all destroyed by God. At according to the world history, 3000 BC is what we call the Bronze Age. Yun yung tinatawag nating Bronze Age. Now, bakit kaya sinabi ng mga historia na iyon yung Bronze Age? Kasi nakasulat sa Bible that there were many bronze during that time. Okay, nakasulat sa Bible yan, di ba? Mapapansin nyo, yung mga Philistine, sila yung mga kaaway ng mga Israelites during the time of Samuel, na meron silang mga iron. So, ang tawag natin doon ay Iron Age. So, ganun ang basis ng mga scholars at mga historian kung paano nagkaroon ng Bronze Age, Iron Age, okay? Tapos Modern Age, tapos ngayon tinatawag natin na Technological Age, Modern Technological Age. So, ganyan ang basis. Ganyan ang basis ng pagpo-formulate ng mga scholars. Bakit merong Early Bronze Age, Late Bronze Age, Early Iron Age, and then Late Iron Age. Okay, and then Modern Age. Okay? So, okay, so eto tayo ngayon. So, we started the new beginning, the story of humanity with the family of Noah. Okay, so God made a covenant with Noah na sabi niya, Noah, sa verse 11, I establish my covenant with you, never again shall all flesh be cut off from water of the flood. So, kaya nga, every time you see the rainbow, it is a sign of the covenant made by God between humanity and His creation, that He will never destroy it again. Okay? And then kaya lang sa panahon natin ngayon, iba na yung rainbow, di ba? LGBT na ang rainbow, hinijack na nila. We also talk about Noah's drunkenness, di ba? Pinag-aralan natin yan. And we discovered na ang kasalanan doon ni Ham ay hindi homosexuality. Okay? Kasi ang sabi ng iba, ginalaw daw ni Ham ang kanyang father. But actually, if you will analyze the language, it is wrong. Ang ginalaw ni Ham ay yung kanyang mother. Okay? Nagkaroon ng incest at ang naging anak noon ay si Canaan. Kaya nga ang Bible, kinurse si Canaan. Alright? Kaya yung mga Canaanites na kasama natin dyan, kasama nyo dyan sa Bible na nagsasabing sila ay Kanaan, iyon yung mga cursed people. And then, Satan used the Canaanites to grab and to steal the land that belongs to Shem. Okay, ganyan ang ating understanding dyan. Okay, originally, remember that the land of Canaan is becoming the land of Israel. Yung land of Israel belongs to God. It belongs to God. Okay, and then here comes the serpent. Again, mapapansin nyo, di ba, from the beginning of time, laging nakikaalam ang serpent, laging nakikaalam ang devil sa plano ng Diyos. Nagsisimula pa lang si Adan, dinestroy na niya. Nagsisimula ang humanity, dinestroy niya. Tapos eto na naman tayo, may bago na namang plano ang God because of the flood. Eto na naman, nakialam na naman itong si serpent. Alright? At yung land that is supposed to be for God, na ibibigay niya kay Shem o the descendant ni Shem, kinuha agad ng Canaanites. At hanggang ngayon, yan pa rin ang problema ng Israel. Because the devil is trying to hinder the plan of God. You will see that when you finish the book of Revelation. Sa book of Revelation, very clear na yung plano ng Diyos ay laging hinihinder nung great devil, yung great serpent. Dati isa lang ang ulo nun, diyan sa Genesis. Pagdating sa Revelation, naging 7 na ang ulo. Alright? Dahil marami ng kalokohang ginawa. At gusto kong i-apply natin yon, mga kapatid. Listen to this. Ang devil ay laging nagsisimula kung paano mag-strike. Pag nagsisimula si God, bata pa lamang si Moses, gusto niya agad i-destroy. Nagsisimula si Adan, gusto niyang i-destroy. Nagsisimula si Noah, gusto niyang i-destroy. Si Moses, bata pa, gusto niya i-destroy. Si Jesus, bata pa, gusto na ring i-destroy. At kapag ikaw, si David, nagsisimula, gusto ding i-destroy. At ganon si Satan. That is the tactic of Satan. Sabi nga ni Paul, we are not ignorant of the device of Satan. What is the device of Satan? Pag nagsisimula ka ng ministry kay God, be careful. Bibigyan ka niya ng away. Makakaaway mo pastor mo, makakaaway mo pastora mo, makakaaway mo asawa mo, makakaaway mo mga miyembro mo, makakaaway mo leader mo, because Satan wants to stop you for continuing with ministry. And if you are crazy and foolish and insensitive, you will be destroyed by Satan, because that is his technique. That is his device. Kaya ang sabi ni Paul, we are not ignorant of the device of Satan. So again, what is the device of Satan? To destroy you hanggat bata ka pa lang, para hindi ka na magpatuloy. He tried that, and he was successful in some other aspect, like Adam. Kay Moses, nagsisimula si Moses, gusto niyang i-destroy, gusto niyang patayin si Moses. Si Jesus, nagsisimula para baby pa lang. Alright? So, ganun din yun. So, maging sensitive tayo doon. Kaya kung ikaw ay in-appoint ng pastora mo, pastor nyo na worship leader, I-care leader, cell group leader, huwag kang ma-shake kapag merong testing. Okay? Huwag kang magagalit kay ganito, huwag kang mag-i-stop, huwag mong hayaan na magkagalit agad kayo ng leader mo. Because it is a technique of Satan to stop you, to stop you, yung mga bagong appointed. Hindi yung mga pastor, nauna na yon kasi na-establish na sila. Ikaw ang dinidilil ng demonyo, hindi sila. Kasi nagtagumpay na sila previously. Alright? Ganyan ang nangyayari. Kaya tuloy, yung iba, after sometimes, bagsak. Kaya kapag mayroong bagong promotion, let us say na-promote ka, from member to worker, from worker to leader, from leader to this, lagi yung merong testing. Hindi nawawala ang testing doon. Bakit? It is Satan wants to pull you away from that. Kaya maging matalino tayo. Okay. So after that, we saw the distribution of Noah, yung mga anak ni Noah. Yung Japhet, si Japhet, Europe, Ham, Africa, and Shem, Asia, including Far East. Kasama tayo dito sa Shem na to. Alright? And then we have Table of Nations. Okay, nagkaroon ng explosion ang mga nations, dumami yung mga anak ni Japhet, ni Ham, ni Shem, nagkaroon ng maraming anak hanggang sa during the time of Peleg, according to the Bible, the earth was divided. There are some theories na nagsasabi na in the beginning, when God created the earth, it was just a round earth. It was only a one island. It was a big one island. All right. And then later on, because of sin, okay, because the earth was under a curse, nagkaroon ng very, very strong earthquakes. Iyon yung explanation ng maraming scholars, especially maraming mga rabbis in Babylonian Talmud. Okay? Na the earth was a round, it's a flat area. And then it was divided. Look at that. Peleg. The word Peleg means divided. Okay? At doon nagkalayo-layo ang mga tao. So nagkaroon ng Africa, nagkaroon ng Asia. Okay, sabi nga natin sa science, Pangaea, okay? At eto ngayon ang distribution. Okay, so this one, the red is Europe, green is Africa, and then the blue is Asia. But you can see, yung mga tao noon ay nagkaroon na ng mixed marriage. Nagkaroon na ng mixed marriage. Alright, and then ito yung mga ages natin na pinag-usapan noon. Adam, 930. And then Enoch was taken by God when he was only 365 years old, because during his days, the whole world is full of sin. And only Enoch walked with God. So God took him, sabi ng Biblia. And that is a picture of rapture. This is the first incident that we had from the Bible about the rapture. Pag sinabi nating rapture, rapturo. Okay, from Latin word. Okay, so God raptured Enoch, or God took him. Okay, na ngayon, where is Enoch now? So Enoch said is in the Bible. And then we can see here in Genesis chapter 10, there was a man named Nimrod. Okay, so si Nimrod was very, very popular and he was very mighty man. Okay? Now, kailangan nating i-explain to, kailangan nating maunawaan natin to, bakit nagkaroon ng Babylonian, bakit nagkaroon ng Assyrian, bakit nagkaroon ng Nineveh, bakit nagkaroon ng Mesopotamia, dahil those nations were very powerful during the time when Moses was born and during the time when Abraham was born. So, kailangang pansinin to ng Bible because these nations were very, very mighty, powerful, and progressive. Now, ang question, bakit naging ganun sila? Bakit sila ay naging powerful? So, according to record, it was built by a man called Nimrod. And Nimrod was not an ordinary person because Nimrod was a product of fallen angels. Okay? That is very, very clear sa Bible. Alright, and makikita natin, look at verse 8, Cush begat Nimrod, he began to be mighty one on earth, he was mighty hunter before the Lord. So ibig sabihin, nakikita ng Lord yung ginagawa ni Nimrod. Nakikita ni Nimrod, and God allows Nimrod to do that. Okay, and then therefore it is said, like Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And then look at verse 10. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calne in the land of Shinar. Eto yon, Iraq, Iran, Syria, kung saan naandyan ang Eden. Okay, so Eden, naandyan lumabas ang Eden, and then sabi ng Biblia, and Cain went to the east of Eden in the city of Nod. Okay? And then dito ipinanganak si Nimrod. Okay? And then sa panahon natin ngayon, my brothers and sisters, kapag pag-aaralan nyo ang Syria, Iraq, Iran, Armenia, what do you think? What comes into your mind pag narinig nyo ang mga bansang yan? Laging may away, patayan, bombahan. Okay? Why? Because the foundation is evil. Okay, makita natin yon. Kaya nga makita natin, di ba? Sino ba ang destroyer ng land of God? Siyempre, from the beginning of time, it is the evil power. It is the evil power. Okay. And then, ang isa sa pinaka very powerful remains na makita natin sa Genesis chapter 11 is the Tower of Babel. Okay, what is the Tower of Babel? Genesis 11:1. Now the whole earth had one language and one speech. So, the Bible gave us an idea na from the beginning of time, isa lang pala ang language natin noon. Wala nung Ilocano, Bisaya, Bicolano, Tagalog, German, okay, Hebrew, wala. Isa lamang. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is on heaven. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth." So ito yung intention ng mga tao pala noon. They want to build a tower that will reach heaven, yun ang sabi. Okay? Ngayon, itong tower na to, ito din ang magiging way nila para pag nagkaroon ng another flood. Remember na nagkaroon ng flood. And then paglipas ng panahon, nawala na ang flood, na-develop na ang tao, nagkaroon na ng maraming tao, eto ngayon ang mga tao dito sa Babel. They build a tower para kahit daw magkaroon ng another flood, hindi sila maabot ng flood na yon. That's number 1. Number 2, itong Tower of Babel, okay, ito ay ginagamit din for religious purposes dahil gusto nilang ma-reach ang heaven. Okay? Do you know what is the meaning of Babel? The word Bab-el. Kung makikita nyo, okay, Bab-el. Diyan sa Old City, mayroong pangalan Bab-el. Ang ibig sabihin nun, gate to God. It is heavenly gate. If you want to go to heaven, if you want to reach God, you have to go to Babel. And you have to climb on top of the tower, on top of that tower, para ikaw ay makalapit sa heaven. Alright, so this is a picture of Tower of Babel, unfinished picture of the Tower of Babel. So pag gusto mong makapunta sa heaven, gusto mong ma-experience yung God, so according to some commentaries, especially the rabbinic commentaries, yung mga Babylonian Talmud, ang mga tao, ang mga high priest, umaakyat siya on top of the Tower of Babel, then doon sila mag-o-offer ng mga offerings. Now the question is it God? Well, of course, some people said it's not. Because God did not ask them to make a Tower of Babel. Katunayan, sino ang gumawa ng Tower of Babel? Ang mga tao lang. Sabi nga, "Come, let us build ourselves a city." Okay, ang sabi niya, "Let us make a name for ourselves." Ang ibig sabihin noon, there was no command from God. Gusto lang nila yon. At any project that does not approved by God will be destroyed by God. Ang example niyan ay itong Tower of Babel. So ipinapakita ng Biblia na human being was very, very rebellious during that time. Ang aga-aga pa nila, kumbaga sa the civilization was just starting, but human being was very disobedient to God. Okay, ipinakita yan ng Bible. That's the purpose of the Bible. To tell us, readers, na rebellious talaga by nature, ang mga tao talaga ay rebellious. Okay? So instead of, let us build a tower and let us offer it to God. Di ba ganun tayong mga Christian? Let us build a ministry and let us give it, let us offer it to God. Pero itong mga tao, let us build for ourselves. Okay, kaya nga yung mga churches na ang gino-glorify yung kanilang sarili, yung leader nila, yung founder, that is very, very dangerous church. It doesn't belong to Jesus. It belongs to that person. Kaya nga 'di ba sabi natin, Lord, no person will be exalted, but only the name of Jesus. Okay? So, example like other group like the Roman Catholic, they exalt Mary, not Jesus. They glorified the church, not Jesus. Kibuloy glorified himself. The Book of Mormon, the Mormon glorified their name, the name of the church. Okay, kaya nga tayong mga Christian, we have to be very careful. The focus should be to God. And then God said, I will destroy. Kaya sabi dito, but the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, indeed, the people are one, and they all have one language. And this is what they begin to do. Now, nothing that they propose to do will withheld from them. So, ipinapakita dito ng Biblia, if the people are united, they can do everything, even though they are unbeliever. So ngayon, i-apply natin yan sa church. If the church is united, if all members of the church are united, it means we can do something for God. Now, tanungin ko kayo, kung lahat ng members sa church ay katulad mo, what do you think will happen to your church? Okay? Halimbawa, lahat ng member ay katulad mo na hindi nagpe-pray, hindi nagta-tithes, hindi obedient, laging late. Okay? What will happen to our church? Pero kung lahat ng member ay katulad mo, na active, faithful, obedient to God, what will happen to the church? And that is the intent of Jesus Christ, that we may be one with Him. Okay? Kahit ang church, di ba sabi ni Jesus Christ, one with Him and with the Father through the Holy Spirit. So it means we can do all things. All right? And then look what happened to the church, to verse 7. Sabi ni God, come, let us go down and therefore confuse their language that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from the face of the earth, and they ceased building the city. Therefore, its name is called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the earth. Okay, so eto ngayon ang nangyari sa God. Ang ginawa ni Lord, kinonfuse niya yung language ng mga tao. So originally pala, we have only one language. And then God, okay, merong hindi naka-mute. Mute lang natin yung ating... Okay. Okay, so ganun na nangyari. The Babel became a land of confusion. So what happened to the people there? Nagising na lamang sila na hindi na sila magkaunawaan. Dati magkakaunawaan sila eh. Aba, nung magising to lang si Sister Let A, B, C, hindi na sila magkakaunawaan. Sabi niya, ba't hindi kita mainawa? I cannot understand you. I cannot understand the language of other people. So yung mga nagkakaunawaan, they gather themselves together and then nagkalayo-layo sila. And then that is also a sign that the earth was divided. So yung mga Ilocano, magkakasama sila. Yung mga taga-Leyte, mga Bisaya, magkakasama na. Yung mga taga-German, mga German language, magkakasama na. Yung mga Hebrew, Ibrit, magkakasama na. Nagkahiwa-hiwalay na ang mga tao, and it's a punishment of God. Kaya nga mapapansin nyo, yung mga dialect, yung mga salita, may connection sa bawat isa. Minsan yung language na to, language din sa Arabic. Example, yung word na pantalon. Pantalon, alam natin yon ay Tagalog, Bisaya, Ilocano. Pero iyan ay Arabic din. Okay? The same thing ng rice. Ano ba yung rice? Di ba English yon? Sa Spanish, arroz. O, arroz. Sa Tagalog naman, sa Pilipinas, arroz caldo. Okay, ganun nangyayari, di ba? May connection. Okay, kasi nga, isa lang yung language na pinanggalingan natin. Isa lang yung language. Okay? So this is the Tower of Babel, according to some artists. Now, but this is the original. This is the real tower in Ur of Chaldea. So if you want to visit Iran, let us say, Iraq, sorry. Let us say you want to go to Iraq at gusto nyong makita at puntahan yung tower, ito talaga yung tunay na tower. Ang tawag natin dyan ay Ziggurat. Okay, the Ziggurat Tower. All right? And now, if you will go to Egypt, halos katulad. Di ba? Ganyan ang tingnan nyo, tower. Okay? Pare-pareho ang intention nila. Gusto nila na mataas. And then, if you will go to the other ocean, Mexico, this is from Mexico. Makita nyo ang Mexico. It is located in the other place of that divides Atlantic Ocean. Pero meron silang mga building na ganyan. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Merong may mga nagdi-dictates, may mga wisdom. Pare-pareho ang wisdom ng araw. Okay, yung technology sa Babylon is the same technology in Egypt. And then paglipat mo ng another ocean, abay, para din katulad sa Mexico. Okay? So, after that, makita natin yung genealogy. Ngayon, mapapansin natin from Genesis chapter 11, nagsimula ng maging ma-focus si God sa isang family. God is no longer focusing in the whole world. He focuses on one family. There is a question from, sige nga, sino yung nagtaas ng kamay?
Ako, Pastor, meron lang po ako nakita dito sa Genesis, kasi sabi ni Lord, let us go. Let us. Ibig sabihin ni Pastor, may kasama siya.
Yan, very good question. Very good observation. Okay, so iyan ang ipinapakita natin na the mystery of Godhead. Yung tinatawag natin na God or the Bible gave us hint. Okay, binigyan tayo ng hint of the plurality of God. Do you remember in Genesis chapter 1, the name of God is Elohim, plural. Tapos pagdating sa Genesis 1:27, ang sabi ni God, let us make man in our image. Ang question doon, Sister Albetrin, may kausap ba si God? Ang sabi ng Babylonian Talmud, yes, may kausap siya at ang kausap niya ay mga angels. Kaya when God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. Ang question doon ay, ang Diyos, ang tao ay created in the image of God. Now, pag sinabi ng God na, let us make man, at kasama niya ay angels, ang tao ba ay created in the image of angels? Yun ang question doon. Ang sabi ng mga rabbi, ang kausap daw ni God dito ay angel. Okay, come, let us go down and therefore confuse their language. Ang kausap daw dito ay angel. Pero tayong mga Christian, ang paniwala natin dito ay plurality of God. God is giving us a hint of the Trinity in advance. Pero hindi natin masasabing this is a Trinity. But this is only a hint of the plurality of the name of God. Kaya nga sabi natin, Genesis is very mysterious book. Dahil sometimes God spoke to himself, pero sometimes he spoke to someone else. Ang tanong natin ay, ilan ang God? Ang alam natin, there is only one God. Pero bakit niya nagsasalita siya sa somebody else? Now, Pagdating ni Jesus sa New Testament, doon pa lang tayo nagkaroon ng clarity doon sa Trinity. That's the reason why the Jewish people don't want to talk about the theology of God. They don't want to talk about Elohim. They don't want to talk about let us. Let us, let us. Kaya takot sila pag-usapan ng God because they are afraid that they might represent the meaning of God. Okay? So kung sino man ang kasama dito ng God, Albetrin, ito ay si God mismo. Siya din yan. Okay, when God said to Genesis chapter 1 na let us make man, nakikipag-usap siya sa sarili din niya. So dito, let us go down, nakikipag-usap siya sa sarili din niya. Okay? It's a very good observation. Pero tingnan mo dun sa verse 8. So the Lord is scattered them abroad. Okay? Okay, so the Lord, so sino yung Lord na yon? Siya din yung let us go down. Ilan yung Lord na nag-destroy? Isa, hindi lang Lord. Hindi sinabing Lords. Lord. So again, this is a presentation of Genesis about the mystery of God. Kaya nga maraming ayaw magbasa ng Genesis because Genesis is very confusing. Okay, kaya nga, ilan? Sino kausap niya? Kausap ba niya angel? Bakit hindi niya sinabi nung kausap niya angel? Bakit hindi niya sinabing kausap niya? Well, again, it is a religious book, it is a mysterious book, and we need further revelation. At yan ay revelation na inireveal ni Jesus Christ noong siya ay bumaba sa daigdig. Okay? Is it clear? Okay? All right. All right. Thank you. So, huwag niyo agad basta sasabihin na, oh, Trinity yan. So, kailangan bitin ang explanation natin dyan. Okay? Ang explanation natin, iyan ay early revelation. Now, we need more revelation to understand it clearly. Kaya nga ang Bible ay progressive revelation. Unti-unti, hindi inireveal ni God ng one sitting. Talagang it took many, many years para makomplete yung fulfillment of revelation. Kaya nga, apart from New Testament, kulang ang revelation. At yun ang mistake ng mga Hudyo. Kulang ang kanilang revelation. Okay, so sa atin, madali nang isabihin yan eh. Madali nang kausapin na Father is talking to Son or the Son is talking to the Father. Very clear. Ang dali nating isipin yon. Kasi nga, kumpleto na yung knowledge natin. Eh sila hindi. Okay. Alright, so eto tayo ngayon. Sabi nga natin, from Genesis chapter 11, 10 to 32, God began to trim down. God trimmed down the dealings. Yung dealing niya, hindi na sa lahat ng creation, kung hindi sa family. At tong family na to ay sa family ni Abraham. Okay? Bakit kaya Abraham? Eh, siya yung napusuan ng God eh. Imagine, ang dami-daming tao. Anong ibig sabihin noon? Pinapakita ng Bible na si God ang pumipili. Hindi nag-volunteer si Abraham. Katulad mo din, hindi ka nag-volunteer na maging Christian. Kahit kailan, hindi mo inambisyon yan. Gusto kong maging Christian. No. God called you. Abraham was called by God. Hindi naman nag-volunteer si Abraham kay God eh. Lord, piliin mo ako. Lord, piliin mo ako. Hindi ganun. It is God who make. Alright? Okay, so yung Genesis chapter 1 to 11, anong tawag nating literary genre? Anong ibig sabihin natin ng literary genre? Anong klaseng literature ito? Yun ang ibig sabihin natin nun. Anong klaseng writings ito? Ito ba ay poetry? Ito ba ay story? Ito ba ay narrative? Okay, ito ang sagot natin. God's revelation employed contemporary literary tradition, style and mode, and to teach theological truth in the form of story and narration. Ang ibig sabihin nito, yung style ng writer from Genesis 1 to Genesis 11, iyon ay style nung mga panahon noon. Okay, nung mga panahon noon ay kasi ganito 'no, 'pag magsusulat ka ng story ngayon, masyadong detailed. Nung panahon na yun, hindi detailed. At ang tawag natin doon ay contemporary literary tradition. Hindi sila detailed noon kasi primitive pa ang mga tao noon. So gusto lang nilang i-preserve ang mga alam nila. At ang problema noon, walang computer, walang ballpen, walang papel, walang lapis. Ang ginagamit nila noon ay stone. Sige, magsusulat ka, bitbit mo yung dalawampung, dalawampung stone, isusulat mo yung istorya. Okay? Kaya kung magsulat sila ay stone. Kaya hindi nila maisulat lahat. Kung ano lang yung mga importanteng bagay na dapat nilang isulat, yun lamang ang kanilang ipipreserve. That is contemporary literary tradition, style and mode. Okay? Hindi katulad ngayon, kahit tulog ka, pwede ka mag-type. Naandyan lang yung cellphone mo, nakahiga ka, naandyan ang cellphone mo. Sa cellphone mo pala, makakagawa ka na ng assignment mo. Alright, noon hindi. Kailangan mo pa ng stone, kumuha ka ng stone sa bundok, at kumuha ka ng chisel para ka makapagsulat. Alright? 2, the purpose was not to provide biological and genealogical description of origin. Remember na ito ay merong theological truth. Hindi lang yan history, hindi geology, hindi biological. Ang purpose niyan ay ipakilala si God, who is the creator of all. Okay, number 3, human beings has divine origin, but marred by the sin that so soon disfigure God's good work. Ang tao ay merong divine nature. Kaya lang because of sin, nawala yon, na disfigured. Okay? At iyan ang gusto nating ma-emphasize sa Genesis. From the beginning of time, human beings were created in the image of God. But merong evil intervention. Merong kontrabida. Alright? Now, ano-ano yung mga controversy dito sa Genesis 1 to 11? Sabi ng iba, it never happened. Probably it's only a fiction. Ito ay utak lamang ng mga Christian o ng mga Jewish na gustong i-control ang mga tao. Okay? It's not worthy to preach, sabi ng iba. Yung mga critic. But we do not believe on that. Number 2, it's a myth. It is a story that was heard and transferred from one generation to another. Eh ano lang yan? Para lamang yung story ni Cinderella. Story lang yan ni Rapunzel o Pinocchio. And then, later on, minagnify na ng mga Christian at Jewish. Ginawa na nilang totoo. Kaya tuloy, ito, sa panahon natin ngayon, totoo na. Ayan. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng myth. Yung fiction, imbento. Yung myth naman, story na pinag-uusapan, aba later on ay naging tunay na. Naging real things na. And then number 3, ito yung importante sa atin. History. Theological history. Beginning of human being, lesson to overcome temptation and knowledge of God. Actual event with actual places, names, culture. Jesus believes this account. So, pag sinabi natin ang Genesis ay history, but this is not just history. This is theological history. Bakit sinabi natin theological history? Because it's about God and humanity. It's about the connection of human being with God. Na yun ay nawala because of sin. So, history yon. Pero hindi lang basta history, theological history. Kasi it involves God. Okay? Kaya nga tayo, tingnan nyo, hanggang ngayon, involved pa rin tayo sa God. Well, because we start reading the Bible. So our conclusion for Genesis 1 to 11, it prepares the way for the history of redemption, seesaw the problem, and solution. Yung seesaw, yung akyat, may problema, may solution, may problema, may solution. Okay, letter C. These stories answer all the questions of why things that exist in a ruined condition, sin, wars, hate, fear, confusion, death. But in the beginning, it was not so. So, ito ngayon ang conclusion natin na dati wala yung mga kasalanan na yan. Walang fear, walang hatred. From the beginning, hindi ganyan ang plano ng God. But because of sin, all of those began to submerge, began to transpire. Nakita natin ngayon na it's because of Adam and Eve. Kaya kung kayo'y mag-aaral, magtuturo about salvation, forgiveness of sin, always go back to Adam and Eve. Because diyan nagsimula ang lahat. We are created by God perfectly, but because of disobedience, lahat tayo naging disobedient. Men gained knowledge, but that knowledge had plunged them to evil, which they cannot get out anymore. Kaya ngayon sasabihin nila na, ay maganda naman, nagkaroon tayo ng knowledge of good and evil. Oo nga, maganda yon. Kaya lang, hindi ka makaalis sa evil. Hindi intention ng God ang good and evil. Ang gusto lamang ng God ay good. Alright? Now, let's go to Genesis 12:50, the patriarch. Alright, the patriarchs, eto ngayon, right after this, ng baha ni Noah, and then here comes God. Eto si God. Ito ay 3000 BC. 3000 BC. So, a prehistoric period, Bronze Age, time of Cain and his descendants. So, makita natin sa Genesis 4:22. And as for Sila, she also bore Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every craftsman in bronze and iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. So bakit in-emphasize yung bronze and iron? Dahil iyan yung tinatawag nating the age of bronze and the age of iron. Okay? Nagsimula nang makita, ma-discover na kailangan natin ng mga bronze and irons for building our houses and for building our weapons against our enemies. Okay? Letter B, Mesopotamia, it is 3000 BC. Egypt, 3000 BC. Syria, Canaan, 3000 BC. Patriarchal age during the time of Abraham is 2000 BC. Okay? And then Egypt from the time of Joseph. Okay? So gusto kong maunawaan nyo itong story na to. Yung 3000 BC, yan yung panahon ni Noah. And then, during the time of Noah, naitayo ang Mesopotamia, naitayo ang mga iba-ibang civilization, including Egypt, including Syria. So, those were 3000 BC, and then after 1000 years of civilization, Abraham was born. So, during the time of Abraham, paglipas ng another more than 200 years, Joseph was born, and Joseph went to Egypt. He was sold there. So, yun ang chronology. Okay? Genesis 10, Japheth. The sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiasa. Ito lahat na ito ay European. Genesis 10, the sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Remember Canaan. Okay, Africa. Mizraim is Egypt. Genesis 10:22, the sons of Shem were Elam, Ashur, Arpadax, Lud, Arpakzad, Lud, and Aram. So makita natin, these were the original children and grandchildren of Noah. Okay? So nagkaroon ng mixed marriage, na-scatter sila in different parts of the world. And then nagkaroon ng mixed marriage. And this is the location of the land of God. So you can see the land of God is in between two civilizations, two very powerful empire. The empire of Egypt in the south and the empire of Mesopotamia in the northeast. Okay? Kaya nga pag nag-aaway ang Mesopotamia at saka Egypt, sino ang nasa sagasaan? Canaan. Kaya makikita nyo, dyan, pag nagpunta kayo, I think one time, I encourage you You visit Israel Museum at saka yung Bible Land Museum. Okay, magkatabi lang yan, dalawang yan sa Jerusalem. Makikita nyo na marami doon na na-discover mga Egyptian gods and Mesopotamian gods. Kasi ang Kanaan, nandun siya sa buffer zone. Siya yung nasa center. Pag Egypt ang nagko-control, Canaan adopted the civilization of Egypt. Pag Mesopotamia naman ang nananalo at sila ang nagko-control, Canaan absorb Mesopotamian culture and religion. Kaya kawawa yung nasa Kanaan. At pagdating nyo dyan sa history, makita nyo na ang dami-daming mga archaeological finds na nakuha dyan sa Kanaan. Okay? Kaya before the time of Moses, before the time of Abraham, eto na ang Kanaan, nasa gitna na siya ng dalawang biggest empire. Alright? And then, eto tinatawag natin to, kung pangalan niya ay si Sargon. Si Sargon, okay, he was the king when the family of Terah, when the family of Abraham went to Haran. He was very evil king. Kapanahunan niya si Nahor, yung great-grandfather ni Abraham. Okay, and probably, ito yung reason kung bakit sila Abraham ay umalis sa Ur of Chaldea. Okay? Remember na Abraham and the family of Abraham were living in Ur of Chaldea. For sure, ito yon. Okay, but ito yung mukha niya, yung another another stone. May nakitang stone na kung tawagin ay stele or stele. O kaya sa iba ay inscription. Okay, yung iba naman ang tawag diyan ay stone. Okay, stele. Yung stele na yan, pag kayo ay marunong magbasa ng kanilang language na kung tawagin ay ano ba yan? Not hieroglyphic. Okay? Nakasulat diyan ang Sargon. Sargon of Akkadian. Akkadian. Okay? At itong si Sargon na to ay very, very cruel king. Okay? Very, very cruel. Okay? And then, it was during this time that the family of Terah, okay, migrated to Haran. Alright? Remember, na dito nakatira sila Abraham, nasa Sumer, sa Ur. And then they decided to move to the north of Haran because of the cruelty of this king. All right, while they were in Haran, okay, God called Abraham. Okay. So eto ngayon yung ating gusto kong ipakita sa inyo, yung genealogy ni Noah. So si Noah, ang anak niya si Japheth, si Ham, and then si Shem. Okay? And then si Japheth, na andun yung mga anak niya, si Magog, Tubal, Gomer, Ashkenaz. At kung mapapansin nyo, itong mga Magog na to, si Magog, Tubal, Gomer, iyan din ang magiging kalaban ng Israel in the last days. Yan yung tinatawag nating Gog and Magog. Alright, kung mapapansin nyo, the story of Gog and Magog was taken by Prophet Ezekiel from the ancient names of the civilization. Okay, bakit? Dahil gusto ni Ezekiel ipakita sa atin that the devil is controlling the nations as early as the time of Noah. Okay, kung paano kinokontrol ng devil si Adam and Eve, kinontrol ng devil si Adam and Eve sa Garden of Eden, kinontrol ang mga tao nung panahon, nung before the flood, and then after the flood. Eto pa rin, continue yung influence ng evil sa tao. Okay, and then under Ham, naandyan si Cush, Nimrod, Babel, Akkad, alright? And then under Shem, naandyan si Arphaxad, Peleg, Ebel, and then Nahor, Terah, Abraham. And there was an interbreeding. Ano yung interbreeding? Nagkaroon ng mixed marriage. So, ibig sabihin, nawala na yung identity. Sino ba talaga ang Shem, Ham, and Japheth? So, ano ang ginawa ni God? Tinawag niya si Abraham to preserve the purity of the race of Shem. Alright? Dahil si God ay binigyan niya ng special blessing si Shem. At eto sa mga anak ni Shem at kaapo-apuhan niya ay si Abraham ang kanyang napili. Okay? Remember that Shem will be the master of Canaan. And Shem will receive special favor. Shem and Japheth will receive special blessing from God. But the children of Ham, especially si Canaan, will serve Shem and Japheth. Remember that blessing and remember that prophecy of God. Okay, so ngayon sa Genesis, sabi ng God kay Abraham, "Now the Lord had said to Abraham, get out of your country, from your family." Bakit tinawag ni God si Abraham? Dahil gusto ni God ay magkaroon siya ng special family kung saan ipapakilala niya yung sarili niya. At itong family na to ang magiging instrument ng God to introduce God to the whole world. Okay? So God began to deal with family. At itong family na to ang magiging instrument ni God. Now the Lord had said to Abraham, tingnan nyo ang command ni God kay Abraham, get out of your country, from your family, from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you, Baruch, you, and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. I will curse him who curses you, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Ang ibig sabihin niyan ay, Abraham, get out of your country, your family, iwan mo ang family mo. Parang katulad ni Jesus, you cannot be my disciple if you will not hate your father, mother, brother, sister, and even yourself. You cannot be my disciple. Kaya yung ginawa ni Abraham, iyon ay parang ginawa natin. Total abandonment of our family tradition. Hindi yung family na kinahate natin, kundi yung tradition ng family natin. Okay, kaya tingnan nyo, when you became a born-again believers, what happened to you nung kayo naging born-again believers na? Tinanggal nyo yung lahat ng tradition. Inalis nyo yung lahat ng mga ribulto, mga Diyos-Diyosan, at lahat ng tradition natin sa Pilipinas, we abandon them, similar to Abraham. Alright? Kaya nga si Jesus, yung sinabi ni Jesus na you cannot be my disciple if you will not this, that is similar to Abraham's calling. Alright? Pero may purpose din si God doon. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you. Kaya binless tayo ni Lord. Now, yung blessing na yon, you will share it. And all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So, ang gusto ni God kay Abraham, Abraham, ibe-bless kita. Pero ikaw ay magiging object of blessing to the whole world. At naganap yan when Jesus Christ came on earth. Kaya tayo din ay anak ni Abraham. At ang sabi ni God, I will bless those who bless you, but I will curse those who curses you. In other words, God will protect you, Abraham. Alright? Verse 4, nag-decide ba si Abraham? Yes. So Abraham departed as the Lord has spoken to him. And Lot went with him. And Abraham was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Then Abraham took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their possessions that they had gathered, and the people whom they had acquired in Haran, and then they parted to go to the land of Canaan. So they came to the land of Canaan. So pagdating ni Abraham doon, naando na ang mga Canaanites. 1,000 taon nang nakatira doon ang Canaanites. From the time of Noah to the time of Abraham is 1,000 years. Okay? At nakatira na ang mga Canaanites ng 1,000 years. Kaya pagdating ni Abraham, sabi ni Abraham, Lord, Eh, may nakatira na pala dito eh. Bakit pa titirahin mo pa kami dito? Alright, so it was probably Abraham was a little bit disappointed dahil ang dami na nakatira. Okay, but he did not blame God. Okay, kundi parang ikaw din, nung ika'y naging Christian, akala ko ba everything will be fine? Bakit nung kailan ako naging Christian, ang dami-dami kong naging problema? Alright? Well, ang purpose ni God ay baguhin yung ating mga attitude, baguhin yung ways. And then eto, nagkaroon ng famine. Nasa Israel siya, no? Nasa land of Canaan. Biglang, sabi ng God, I will give you a land that will make you rich and prosperous. Tapos biglang nagka-famine. Nagka-famine sa land. There was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to dwell there, for the famine was severe in the land. The promised land is a land of famine. So what happened to Abraham? Remember na ang promise ng God kay Abraham, Abraham, I will bless you in this land. You need to exercise your faith. Kaya lang si Abraham, kulang pa ang faith niya, nagpunta siya sa Egypt. Tapos pagdating niya sa Egypt, nagsinungaling pa siya sa mga Egyptian. Sabi niya, eto, asawa, hindi ko to asawa, sister ko. Okay, sabi niya, it came to pass when he was close to entering Egypt that he said to Sarah his wife, indeed, I know that you are a woman of beautiful countenance. Therefore, it will happen when the Egyptians see you that they will say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will let you live. Please say you are my sister, that it will be well with me for your sake, and that I will live because of you. So, eto ngayon sa Abraham, makita nyo yung journey ni Abraham, start from Ur, nag-stay sila for more than 100 years dito sa Haran. And then he was 75 years old when God called him. He went to Shechem, and while there was a famine, they went to Egypt. Pagdating sa Egypt, nagkaroon siya ng problema dahil yung asawa niya ay nagustuhan dahil iba ang beauty ni Sarah. Okay? Ito yung aking journey when I was in Egypt. I was in Egypt and I saw the pyramid. Alam niyo ba nang si Abraham ay nagpunta ng Egypt, nakatayo na ang pyramid? Ang pyramid ay 600 years older than Abraham. All right? And I visited it, and it was a very beautiful place, very antique. Okay? Now, eto ngayon ang nangyari. Abraham returned to Canaan. Dahil nga, I'm sure alam natin ang story, we will not discuss that in detail. Nagustuhan si Sarah ng Pharaoh, and then yung Pharaoh na yon, again, hindi din binanggit ang pangalan ng Pharaoh. Okay? At yung Pharaoh na yon ay almost take Zara to be his wife. Kaya lang God spoke to Pharaoh. Can you imagine God spoke to Pharaoh? How did he do that? Well, we do not know. Genesis 13:1, then Abram went up to Egypt and went up from Egypt. Okay, ibig sabihin, umalis na sila sa Egypt. He and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him to the south. Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver, and in gold, and he went on his journey from the south as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there at first. And there Abraham called on the name of the Lord. Okay. Ano ang nangyari kay Abraham nang siya ay bumalik sa land of Canaan, na nagbigay ng napalaking problema sa kanyang buong lahi hanggang sa ngayon? Nagpunta siya ng Egypt. Pagdating sa Egypt, alright, meron silang na-encounter na ang pangalan ay Hagar. At yung Hagar na yon, yun ang naging problema nila hanggang ngayon. Okay? Kung si Abraham ay nakinig lamang kay God to stay in the land kahit may famine, ang ginawa niya, he make his own device. Di ba sabi na God, stay in the land? At ang nangyari kay Abraham ay katulad din ng nangyari kay Jacob. Nagkaroon ng famine, Nagpunta ng Egypt, pagdating sa Egypt, naging slave sila. Kung hindi lang sila umalis, hindi sana sila magiging slave. At kung hindi din nagpunta si Abraham sa Egypt during this period, hindi niya sana nakita tong si Hagar na naging mistress niya, na nagkaanak pa siya. At hanggang ngayon, nag-cause ng problem sa buong Israel and Arab world. Ayan na yan. So you can see, di ba? Makikita mo ngayon what really happened if you disobey the command of God. Kaya kung kayo'y namumuhay sa kasalanan sa panahon ngayon, get out of this sin or fix the sin. I-fix nyo yung kasalanan nyo na yan dahil may consequence yan possibly sa anak mo, sa iyo, o sa mga kaapo-apuhan mo. You will reap what you sow. At yan ang message ng Genesis. Fix the sin and then ask God's forgiveness. Okay? Because there is a consequence. Tanungin nyo ang mga employer nyo, ba't kaya may problema tayo ngayon? Kasi si Hagar at si Sarah. Kasi si Abraham, chick boy. Ayan. Sige. Ginaya naman ng kanya mga apo, si David at saka si... Alright, now, isa sa mga very mysterious thing na makikita natin dito si Melchizedek. Sino ba si Melchizedek? Di ba ang mga Canaanites ay mga idol worshiper? Bakit meron diyang Melchizedek? Nag-priest of the God Most High. Akala ko ba ang mga Canaanites ay mga idol worshippers? Pero merong isang priest dyan na God. Isa siyang born again. Isa siyang tunay na servant of God. So hindi pala lahat ng tao sa Canaanites ay mga idol worshipper. Now some people believe na Melchizedek was the second person of Trinity, or probably Melchizedek was a manifestation of God in physical form. All right? So, siyempre, iba-iba ang ating mga interpretation. So, then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was the priest of the Most High God, and he blessed him and said, "Blessed be Abraham of God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand," and he gave him a tithe. Ang nakakatawa dito, ni wala man lang kahit isang prophet na nag-explain kung sino si Melchizedek. Iisa lamang ang nag-explain kung sino ang si Melchizedek. Sino yon? Si King David, Psalm 110 verse 4. At ang sabi pa ni King David, "The Messiah, the Lord, has sworn, and he will not change his mind. You are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek." Kaya mapapansin nyo, si Jesus Christ ay hindi siya under ng Levitical priesthood. Si Jesus Christ ay hindi under ng Mosaic law, kundi siya ay under ng Melchizedek priesthood. And you will notice, Jesus Christ never entered the Holy of Holies in the New Testament. Kasi hindi yon ang ministry niya. Ang ministry ni Jesus ay Melchizedek priesthood, hindi Aaronic priesthood. Kaya ni-reject siya. At mapapansin nyo din, walang mga prophet na nagsabi about Melchizedek. Dahil ang Levitical priesthood ay temporary only. Ang tunay na priesthood ng God ay Melchizedek. Your priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. Okay? And then after that, nang si Abraham at si Sarah ay umuwi na, bumalik na siya sa Canaan, and then here comes God. God made a covenant with Abraham. Ano yung covenant na yon? Ito yung covenant of the land and covenant of the seed. Genesis 19:5. So he said to him, "Bring me a 3-year-old heifer, and a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and young pigeon." Then he brought all these to him and cut them into two. down the middle and placed each piece opposite the other. But he did not cut the birds in two. And when the vultures came down on the carcasses, Abraham drove them away. Now when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham, and behold, horror and great darkness fell upon him. Then he said to Abraham, know certainly that your descendants will be strangers in the land that is not theirs, and will serve them, and they will afflict them for 400 years. Ano ang mga importanteng dapat nating malaman dito? Number 1, si God ang nag-initiate ng covenant. Number 2, si Abraham ay natutulog when God made a covenant. Okay, look at this, di ba? Now when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham. Nakatulog siya sa kahihintay sa God. Okay, and then nagkaroon siya ng dream. Ano yung dream niya? Ang kanyang mga kaanak apo-apuhan ay magiging slave 400 years in Egypt. And then 17, and it came to pass when the sun went down and it was dark that behold, there appeared a smoking oven and a burning torch that passed out between those places. On the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham while sleeping, saying, to your descendants I have given this land from the river of Euphrates to the river of Egypt to the great river of Euphrates. So mapansin nyo, si Abraham natutulog. Di ba pag sinabi nating covenant ng ancient time, dalawa kayong lalakad dun sa hayop na hinati. Kaya nga sabi ni God kay Abraham, okay, Abraham, take this animal, heifer, and then cut it into pieces, into two pieces. And then in the middle of that, maglalakad tayo. Magkakaroon tayo ng covenant. Okay, kapag binayolate mo ang covenant, I will kill you. Pero pag binayolate ko ang covenant, kill me. Pero mapansin nyo, hindi si Abraham lumakad. Sino ang lumakad sa gitna? Si God lang. So anong ibig sabihin nito? Sabi ni God, I will take care you. I will take care of you. I will take care of this covenant. Kaya yan ang tinatawag nating unconditional covenant. Bagamat alam ni God na sila Abraham at yung kanya mga descendants ay hindi magiging faithful sa kanya, but God said, I myself will be faithful to you. Ako ang magpupulfill niyan. At yan ang reason kung bakit ang Israel ay nananatiling people and chosen people of God. Because it is God who initiated. Kahit ni-reject nila si God nung Old Testament, kahit ni-reject nila si Jesus ngayong New Testament, they remain to be people of God because of this covenant. Ang question, Pastor, save ba sila? It's a different issue. Hindi ko mo ikaw ay nasa covenant, save ka na. Salvation is different. They are saved before Jesus. But after Jesus, their salvation is questionable. Okay? Tandaan natin, before Jesus, they are saved. But when Jesus Christ fulfilled the Old Testament, it's a different issue. We will talk about that in the New Testament. Pag pinag-aralan na natin ang New Testament. Okay? Sa ngayon, konti-konti muna. Alright? So itong covenant na to ay very significant sa mga Israelites. The covenant which He made with Abraham. Okay? It is an everlasting. It is an everlasting. Covenant with Abraham. Nehemiah, 2 Kings, Acts, nananatili na yung covenant na yon ang pinaka-foundation ng history of Israel. Kaya Israelites believe that God will be forever their God because it is God who initiated. Now, ano ang sign ng covenant na yon? Circumcision. Okay? Sabi ng God sa Genesis 17, you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. He who is 8 days old, you shall be circumcised. Every male child in your generation, he who is born in your house, or bought with money from any foreigner, who is your descendants. So makikita mo, ang God ay laging nakikipag-covenant sa mga tao. Panahon pa lamang ni Noah, meron na tayong rainbow. Tapos eto ngayon yung second covenant na ginawa ni God kay Noah, kay Abraham, circumcision. Yung rainbow para sa lahat ng tao. Yung circumcision para sa lahat ng anak at apo ni Abraham, including Ismael. Alright? Including sila Esau, including yung mga Middle Eastern, kasama sila sa covenant. Pero pagdating doon sa Mosaic covenant, is a different. This is exclusive for the people of Moses only, for the Israelites. Pagdating natin sa Exodus. So yung covenant na yon ay kinonfirm ni God kay Isaac. So nung patay na si Abraham, God spoke to the son of Abraham. Kanino yon? Sino yon? Isaac. And God said, verse 4, I will make your descendants multiply as the stars of heaven. I will give to your descendants all this land, and in your seed all nations of the earth shall be blessed. Because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandment, my statutes, and law. At inulit yan kay Jacob. So tatlong generation ang nakareceive niyan directly from God. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Kaya sinasabi natin, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Genesis 28:13, and behold, the Lord stood. And then look at verse 14 again. Also your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread abroad to the west and east, to the north and south, and in you and your seed, all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Makikita nyo, iisa ang formula ng covenant. All the families of the earth shall be blessed. All the nations of the earth, all the families of the earth, all the earth is mine. Pagdating ni Jesus Christ, go, for God so loved the world, and then go into all the world. Ano ang ibig sabihin nito? When God called Abraham, the intention of God is not only for Abraham and his descendants, but the whole families of the earth is beloved of God. So ang gusto ni God ay magkaroon ng blessing sa lahat ng tao sa daigdig, hindi lang sa Israel. Okay? So from the beginning of time, nasa utak na ng Diyos ang buong daigdig. At magiging instrument niya itong family ni Abraham, at itong family ni Abraham ang magpapakilala sa lahat ng tao kung sino tong si God na to. Alright. Now, ginawa ba yun ng mga Israelites? Hindi. Nagkaroon ng problema ang mga Israelites. Sila nagsabong. Sila nag-away-away sa loob ng kanilang bansa. Kaya tuloy, hindi sila naging good testimony. At ano ang nangyari? Na-stumble ang kanilang mga kapitbayan. Alright? Imbis na mag-agree, mag-humble kay God of Abraham, hindi sila naging obedient. Alright? So, eto ngayon, hindi tuloy na-convince na maniwala itong mga surrounding nations. Alright. Sabi ng God sa Isaiah, you are my witnesses, Israel. And then sabi din sa Acts chapter 1, you shall be witnesses to me in Jerusalem. Kaya yung calling ng mga Israelites na sila yung witness ni Yahweh, tayo mga Christian, tayo naman ang witness ni Jesus. Now, ito ang question ko. Kapag ang Israel at Christian ay hindi magwi-witness, sinong gagawa nun? Muslim. Iko-convert ng Muslim ang buong mundo. Pag ang mga Christian ay hindi magwi-witness. Alright? Kaya tingnan nyo, very active ang Muslim. Bakit ang mga Muslim dumami? Kasi ang mga Christian ay naging lazy during those time. Okay? Now, what is the importance of Ismael? So remember, Ismael is the son of Hagar. Si Hagar ay product ng erroneous decision. Hindi magkaroon ng anak si Sarah because Sarah was barren. Ngayon, ang sabi ni Sarah, let's make a strategy. Mag-isip tayo para magkaanak ka nga. Dahil ako'y hindi nagkaanak. So, ang sabi ni Sarah, sipingan mo yung aking mistress, yung aking caregiver, sipingan mo. Alam mo sabi ni Abraham, wow, that's good idea. Let's do it. Ayan. Okay? Nagkaroon ng anak itong si Hagar. At itong si Hagar na to, ang sabi ng Biblia, hindi siya ang child of covenant. Yan ang gustong ipaalam ng Bible. Hindi si Ismael ang child of covenant. Dahil ang child of covenant ay sino? Si Isaac. Pero pag binasa nyo ang Quran, it is Ismael who is the son of covenant. Hindi si Isaac. Alright? So bakit kailangan nating malaman to? Dahil merong demonic counterpart. Alright? Kaya nga tayong mga Christian, dapat alam natin to. Alam nyo, maraming Pilipino na mga walang kaalam-alam sa history, naku-convert maging Muslim sa Middle East. Dahil mali daw ang Bible. Ang tunay daw na anak ni Abraham ay si Ismael at si Hagar ang tunay na asawa at si Sarah ang mistress. Iyan ang nakasulat sa Quran. Alright? But for us, no. Kaya nga pinreserve yung family ni Ismael upang ipakita in the future generation that Ismael is not the son of covenant. Alright? So now, nasan si Ismael? Tumira siya dun sa wilderness of Paran. Nasan yung wilderness of Paran ngayon? Yan yung Saudi Arabia. Kaya itong mga Saudi Arabia, they believe that they are descendants of Ishmael. Another important issue in the Bible is the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah is a preview of future judgment. My brothers and sisters, from the time of Adam to Noah is 1,000 years old, and then dinestroy ni God ang earth by water. From the time of Noah to the time of Abraham is another 1,000 years old. Dapat i-destroy na naman ni God ang daigdig by fire. Pero hindi niya ginawa yon. Kaya nga tinawag niya si Abraham para magsimula uli si God ng another group of people. Okay? Ngayon, ito ang Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah is a city of sin. Kung ano ang naganap sa Sodom and Gomorrah, iyan din ang gagawin ni God dito sa daigdig na to in a larger scale. Remember na ang ginawa ni God dyan, nagpadala ng fire and brimstone. Ganyan din ang gagawin ni God sa Book of Revelation. In the future, lahat ng hindi mararapture, lahat ng wala kay Jesus will experience the rain of fire, hindi rain of water. Kaya nga, it's a preview. It's a preview of ano ba ang problema sa Sodom and Gomorrah? Alam natin kung ano ang sin sa Sodom and Gomorrah. Naandyan ang lahat ng immorality. Man to man, woman to woman, mother to father, mother to son, daughter to father, mga different people nagkaroon ng sexual immorality. At dyan galit na galit si God. Dyan sa mga sexual immorality na yan. Alright? Okay, now if you will see, ito yung sample ng Sodom and Gomorrah. I believe nakita nyo na yan dyan sa sa Israel. Alright? And then, after the Sodom and Gomorrah is a very important testing in the life of Abraham. Ang sabi ni God kay Abraham, remember, Abraham waited for 25 years. 25 years siyang naghintay ng magiging anak. And then, nung bigla na siyang nagkaanak, ano ang sabi ni God kay Abraham? Abraham, offer your son to me. Look at verse 22:1. Now it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham. Bakit kailangan niyang i-test si Abraham? Because that is the nature of God. Ganyan din ang gagawin ni God sa iyo, kapatid. Pag ikaw ay nasa ministry na, tinawag ka na ni Lord, nagwo-worship leader ka na, naglilid ka na ng mga Bible, huwag mong isipin na everything is fine. Merong mga testing. Itetest ni Lord kung kaya mong mag-endure. Yung bang, kaya mo ba akong tayuan kahit nasa midst ka ng problem? O i-abandon mo ako? At ang sabi ni God dito kay Abraham, sabi ng Biblia, God tested Abraham. At ang sabi ng God kay Abraham, take your son, offer him as a burnt offering. Alam niyo nung mga panahon na yon, ang mga tao sa Middle East at ang mga tao sa Canaan ay inio-offer nila ang kanilang firstborn sa God nila. Ino-offer. Now, ang ginawa ni God, itest ko nga itong si Abraham kung gagawin din niya yon sa anak niya. Gagawin kaya ni Abraham sa akin yon? Now, ano ang ginawa ni Abraham? Yes, ginawa niya, in-offer niya yung kanya. So, ibig sabihin, nakapasa si Abraham sa testing. Kaya lang, alam natin na it was only a testing. At eto pa ang magiging problema dyan, mga kapatid. Ha? Ang nagiging problema kay Abraham, 25 years siyang nag-prayer request. Prayer. Nang naibigay na yung prayer request, nakalimutan na ang Diyos. Yung utak niya nakapokus na kay Isaac. Dati-dati, tuwing umaga, yung mata niya nakafocus sa heaven. Nung naibigay na yung prayer request, nakalimutan na yung heaven. Nakatutok na dun sa anak. And then sabi ng God, tatanggalin ko yung anak mo sa'yo para bumalik uli yung mata mo sa heaven. At ang danger dito, my brother, pag tayo ay binless ni God, huwag mong kalilimutan yung blesser. Kasi nakafocus tayo sa blessing. Alam nyo, aalisin ni Lord yung blessing para bumalik ka sa Kanya. Kaya nga minsan, di ba, yung blessing mo nawawala. Di ba yung iba, Lord, bigyan mo lang ako ng car. Bigyan mo ako ng kotse. Bigyan mo ako ng ganito. Bigyan mo ako ng boyfriend. Bigyan mo ako ng asawa. Magsiserve ako sa'yo. Nung nagkaroon, nakalimutan na si God. Alright? Now, tatanggalin ni Lord yun. At ganon, be careful tayo sa ganon. Minsan, baka kunin ni Lord yung anak mo na masyado nang siya na yung focus mo. Kunin ni Lord yung mahal mo sa buhay para mawala yung focus mo sa Kanya. Hindi, hindi, hindi naman sabi ni Lord na pabayaan mo yon. Ang gusto lang ni Lord, siya yung iyong number one. Hindi sinabi ni Lord na, I am your only one. Hindi ganun si Lord. Ang gusto ni Lord, siya yung number one, number two lang yung iba. Kasi minsan tayo nagiging number 3 na si God pag overflowing na yung blessing. And that is the warning of God to the Israelites. Do not forget your God. Okay? Okay, it's already 9:30 and we will continue our discussion. So if you have questions, so again, my brother and sisters, God tested Adam, God tested Noah, God tested Abraham, and then God tested Jesus. Ano ibig sabihin nun? God's nature is He always tested His people. Nature ni God yun. Okay? At hindi mo yun maia-avoid. Kaya kapag ikaw ay merong problem, tumahimik ka lang, huwag kang magsasalita dahil baka under testing ka. Alright? Minsan, ang gagamitin pa ni Lord sa testing sa'yo, yung iyong mga malalapit sa buhay. Ang ginamit ni God pan-testing kay Adam and Eve, silang dalawa. Ang ginamit ni God na pan-testing kay Abraham, yung anak pa niya. Okay? So, I pray now we are learning from our story. Next week, please read Exodus. Okay, the book of Exodus, because we will talk about Exodus next week. Let's close it. in prayer. Father, we thank you for tonight. Thank you for this wonderful discussion. Thank you, Lord, for the blessing, and thank you for the revelation. We give you honor and praises in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. Okay, let's have our class picture. I hope mag-appear kayo. Baka yung iba sa inyo, invisible na naman. Already? 1, 2, 3. Okay, another one. Alam nyo kasi more than tayo sa ano eh. Open your camera. Open your camera. Already? 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay. All right. Good night, everyone. So if you have question, please text me, ha? Huwag kayong mahihiyang mag-text. All right. Good night. And
Thank you po.
Salamat
Yung
po,
question
Sir. Good
po
night.
namin.
good night, good night, good night, good night, good night, good night.
Yung pong
Okay.
assignment.
Yung pong
Okay.
questionnaire namin, Pastor, don't forget to.
Very good. Dodoblehin ko kung gusto nyo.
Thank you. Thank you po.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye
Bye
po.
po.
Bye-bye, 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 bye-bye. All right.
Thank you po.